Hello, fellow sages. With Ollie's completely losing their mind and buying up everything in sight as far as toys go for the holidays, I went ahead and got a great deal on the creative figure for the Gladiator. It's $12.99. This figure originally was much more than that. And of course, the great thing I love about this is basically you don't get two figures, but you get different parts for figures. And as a customizer, some of these parts could come in really handy. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you the back of the packaging. This says, of course, endless ways to build. This one, features Triple H, and I guess these usually have like two heads. One that's almost like an army builder, and one that's a known wrestler. And you can see on the back they have different people like dressed differently based on the different sets that they have. So for example, at the bottom you have the Shadow Vigilante, and I believe we all know who that is, the Undertaker. The Enforcer set. Is that Kane? I can't see. It's tiny. You have Hip Hop set. Gold Dust. It's an Egyptian motif. Ultimate Warrior set. And then Rusev set. And last but not least, of course, there's a Triple H versus John Cena set, which is different than the Gladiator set we have now. And basically they come with different, all sorts of cool little gadgets and stuff. They come with different parts. And more importantly, they just come with some coolness. Now, they do have tattoo little decals they can have put on the figures, but they're not for your skin. And they proudly pronounce. And we have our Sad Onions making your debut, making a return back to our channel. Sad Onions, protecting children since they weren't. And of course, I love how they have the display where you can mix and match parts. It's basically customizing before you can actually learn to customize. Plug and play, like Lego men. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and be opening this up and seeing what's included in this particular set. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of the video. Okay, so the display plastic does a great job of displaying the parts that you get in the set. It was hard to see the detailing on the cape in the packaging. And of course, one thing that's interesting to me is that basically, if they'd just given you another crotch to this leg right here, you would have had two different figures. Because you get well, I guess you need two sets of arms too. You get one set of arms too. But basically you get two different boot types. So you get the wrapped feet like your kickboxer. Okay, so like I said, you get the two different feet. You get two different heads. You get the actual wrestler head, and then you get the Build-A-Figure head. When this was in packaging, I think they wanted you to think this is another head. But it's actually a shoulder pad based on the picture and everything. You get this to go around the waist so you can make it a more Gladiator look. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop all this out of here and try a couple different looks. And then we'll see what we can build basically. It does come with a shield, though no weapon, sword, or anything like that. So I guess he's just hitting him with his head. Because look at that helmet. That would cut anybody. Anyway, let me go ahead and get these popped out. Okay, so I've got everything out of the plastic, which that was a fight. These things are really molded deep into the plastic where it's really hard to get them out. I guess that's good for anti-theft, but it kind of made my job harder. Anyway, so the way that the leg is designed, it has a clip inside. It goes over a ball joint so that the leg will peg right on there. There's a snap when you get it on there, and then of course now he has the ability to do a kick. That's a split. He can go forward because that ball joint The way that that ball joint lets it roll this way, and the hinge lets it kick out. So it's really cleverly designed, and you can't really see the articulation built in there. They've really hidden it very well. So that's one bonus for the figure. Also, all these points, where of course it has only a single jointed knee, so it can't quite kick back as far as back as some of the Marvel Legends and things. Though, however, by adding these extra pivot points here where you peg stuff together, you also add more articulation in some ways. So while this foot only rocks a little bit, you can basically put it, actually, it's not bad, it's got a little rock to it, so that you could probably have them doing some wider stances. This is actually better than some of the other Mattel, like the DC figures especially. They have a tendency to not be able to get feet on the ground flat at all. Now, it's not perfect. It's not like an ankle rocker like a Marvel Legend ankle rocker. But still, you can still do better poses with it than some of the others, as far as being able to do a wide stance and things of that nature. And as you see here, the Gladiator part does switch right out. You can switch out either head, and basically all of a sudden, it's just him. And of course, I'm going to put the helmet back on because it's cool. Now, the helmet, when it's on, can look left and right, or right and left. That's his. You get it. You get it. Anyway, and it also can pivot up and down a little bit. So, like if you were using these figures to do some sort of animation or something, you could get it to rock a little bit so that the figure would look like it's talking or whatever. Very cool sculpt, but no paint apps whatsoever on almost everything here. The only thing that has multiple paint apps is basically the shield, where it has the silver rim because all this gold plastic besides that. And then you see how parts of that's shinier than the other. So that's actually 3 paint apps, even though it doesn't look like it, because they have the paint for the silver and then they have the shiny paint for the skull, which is a pretty cool touch. And of course, the other part that has multiple paint apps here is the waist piece. So basically, we want to go full Gladiator mode. You can peg it right on there. And then of course you got your cloak, which even though that's attached, that's all attached, it looks almost like it's not. So you basically can just swap it over any head. So that does limit it using it with other figures, but it means that you don't have to worry about it falling off if it wasn't attached. Let's give this guy some arms. Now the arms, much like the legs, do have the swivel hinge, because it's like a ball in there. And of course this part lets it swivel this way. So when you put the arms in, click in place. Well, if you can hit the hole. That's what she said. Anyway, as we scroll, like the arm will twist all the way around. Cape does articulate and get in the way a little bit. If you have the cape on there, it does go down to the side and up 90 degrees. So you're getting pretty good articulation there. It does have a separate wrist swivel and of course a single jointed elbow hinge, but it is a pivot too. It's not just a hinge, it's a pivot hinge. So you get a little more articulation with that pivot. Now of course you throw on the shield. The shield just has the peg in the back. Oh, I'm sure that sounded great to you guys. Are your ears bleeding yet? Okay. Let's see if we can bear it on there. Oh, I put it on upside down. Genius. Real men of genius. That's what they say. Okay. So, give this guy a sword and he's about ready to take on the Legion. Get him where he is. When it rains, it pours, and he falls apart. So this is the thing about these figures that I'm noticing. You can do some cool stuff with them, and you can get them dressed up cool. really things will fall apart at times because they're made to come apart. They're made to come apart, which means that's a good and a bad thing. I mean, if you're doing a scene where basically you have a bunch of guys fighting, you can easily have dismemberment without ruining your toys. If you're not doing a scene that's the case, then of course you can go right back to fully armored up. Oh, I didn't try the shoulder pad. This is probably just going to click on here somehow. Let me see. They had it on the box pictured on this shoulder. Let me see if I can figure this out. I don't really see how it attaches. Does it just go over his bicep? Nope. Huh. I wonder how this works. Let me try to take the arm out and see if that makes a difference. Okay, so this is supposed to go on an arm. So, looks like it's going to be able to go on there, but the problem you'll have is it will definitely limit articulation. Okay. And I pop it off as I click it in. Oh, this is going to be fun. Said nobody. Lift the cloak up, the cape up. So yeah, it will go on there, sort of. But it's not worth it. You lose more than you gain sometimes. Okay, so let's put this back. Now, the other thing we, of course, didn't really cover much of is the feet. Yeah, that's not going to work. I do not like that. Okay, so now to my eyes, he doesn't need a cloak if he's in that. Let's go ahead and just pop the head on here. Take the shield off. And the thing is, of course, if you had all these sets, you'd have a lot more parts to choose from. So it would be funner to have them all. But that's a pretty decent little action figure right there. He does have a hinge on his ankle, so it will let him pivots and hinge. So kind of get him in a pose. Though unlike Marvel Legends, of course, he doesn't have the rocker where he can put his feet flat. It's still pretty cool. Definitely not going to be easy to balance this one as it was the other one on one leg. Because of course, yeah, not going to happen. Oh well. I don't know why I like to balance stuff on one leg. Anyway, overall, if you can get these at Ollie's or some other closeout, they're a great deal. It probably is a good deal even if you didn't get them at Ollie's or some closeout, because if you think about it, people pay for these accessories separately, or they buy a figure they don't want just for these accessories sometimes. So if you think about it, it's a pretty good deal to get this 1.5 figures for the price. If you were buying this brand new, if you were buying a figure that had this much articulation and accessories brand new, you definitely are going to be paying more than $20. So I got it for $13, and I'm very happy with this helmet especially, and all the accessories seem good. I like all the accessories. Anyway, this has been my review of the Triple H Gladiator set from, basically the WWE. They create a superstar WWE Superstar. Hope you liked it. Like, comment, and subscribe. Have a great day.